There it is again. That familiar weight of footsteps on stone. I know that sound. I know you. Come in, little one. Come in, out of the cold. The mountain wind has teeth this time of year, and I can see by the way you're moving that it has already taken a bite or two out of you. Come in, little one. Come in, out of the cold. The mountain wind has teeth this time of year, and I can see by the way you're moving that it has already taken a bite or two out of you. Yes, come closer to the fire. I rarely move anymore, but the warmth reaches far enough. It always has. You look different. Not worse, just changed. Time has been working on you since we last sat together. I can see it in the way you carry yourself. A little heavier in the shoulders, perhaps. A little more careful in your steps. That is not a bad thing. It is simply what living does. I wondered when you would find your way back. Not because I doubted you. No, never that. But the road to this place is not an easy one, and many who leave with the intention of returning find that life has other plans for them. But here you are. Here you are. Set your things down. That pack looks heavier than it should be. You always did carry more than you needed. A habit of yours I remember well. Are you hungry? I cannot offer you much, I'm afraid. I have never quite understood the particular needs of your kind when it comes to food. But I believe there are some dried provisions to your left. Left behind by the last traveler. Left behind by the last traveler who passed through. They did not stay long. Not like you. Take what you need. There. There now. Breathe, traveler. You are safe here. Nothing in this mountain will disturb you. You are safe here. Nothing in this mountain will disturb you while you are under my roof. If you can call it that. Stone ceiling, I suppose. Close enough. Rest for a moment. You don't have to explain where you've been or what you've seen. There will be time for that. There is always time here. That is one thing this mountain has an abundance of. You know, I have watched the fire in this cave burn for longer than your entire civilization has kept written records. That is not said to diminish you. Please do not take it that way. It is simply a fact I find myself thinking about sometimes. When you are as old as I am, facts like that become almost comforting, like landmarks. You stop measuring time by years and start measuring it by eras. The last time you were here, do you remember what season it was? Early autumn, I believe. The light through the cave's mouth had a particular amber quality it only gets in autumn. Long and golden with a soft melancholy. You came in much the same way you did just now. Tired, a little worn at the edges. But your eyes were brighter then, more searching. Now your eyes are quieter, which tells me you have found some of what you were looking for, and perhaps lost a few things along the way. That is the nature of searching, little one. You rarely return with exactly what you set out to find. You return with something else entirely. Something you didn't know you needed. The fire is warm tonight. I find that cold caves make for restless sleep, and you look like you are in need of some deep and proper rest. Not the kind you steal in roadside inns or propped against a tree somewhere. The real kind, where your body finally believes, truly believes, that it is safe. You can close your eyes if you wish. I'm not going anywhere. But before you sleep, if you would like, I could tell you something. A story, perhaps. Not the kind with heroes and battles and glory. I've lived long enough to find those stories rather thin. Something older. Something real. Something from my own past. Would that be all right? Good. Then settle in. Pull that cloak tighter around your shoulders. Yes, just like that. And listen. I was not always here. That may seem obvious, but I think it's worth saying because this mountain has become so much a part of me that sometimes I forget there was a time before it. I was young once, genuinely young. Not young in the way you are young, where youth is measured in decades. Young in the way that my kind measures it. My scales were still bright. My wings were still learning the weight of long distances. My fire was eager. Too eager, perhaps. There was a valley once, far away, tucked between two mountain ranges that no longer exist. They were grounded down by the glaciers long before your people were drawing pictures on cave walls. But at the time I speak of, they stood tall, dark, permanent, or so everything living in their shadows believed. I lived in those mountains for a season. Just one, which for a young dragon is barely a breath. But it was a season that changed the shape of everything that came after. There was a village in that valley. Small, quiet, the kind of place that exists in the folds of the world that larger places forget about. They kept goats, grew crops in rocky soil that probably shouldn't have grown anything at all, but did anyway. Out of sheer stubbornness, I always thought. I liked that about them, the stubbornness. Now I should tell you that I was like them, because it matters for the story. I was proud, as young things often are. I had power and I knew it. And I had not yet learned that knowing you have power and knowing what to do with power are two different kinds of knowledge, separated by two long roads. I had been told by older dragons, by the stories of my kind, that villages like this one were beneath my notice. That to the small lives of small creatures were not my concern. That a dragon's gaze should be fixed on great horizons, on mountains, on great turning of ages. I believed that then. There was a drought that season. The valley's river had pulled back to almost nothing. The crops were struggling, the goats were thin. And I, in my pride, and my, I suppose you would call it, thoughtlessness, had been using the valley's only remaining water source. A deep mountain spring, using it carelessly, the way young and powerful things use what they want without asking what it costs others. I didn't even notice. That is the honest truth of it. I didn't notice until a child came to find me. A child alone, no weapon, no gift, no strategy, just a small person who had apparently decided that walking up a mountain to speak to a dragon was a reasonable thing to do on a Tuesday. She was perhaps 8 or 9 years in age, dusty from the climb, absolutely determined. She stood at the edge of my resting place and said, "We do not have enough water. Do you know?" Not an accusation, not a demand, a genuine question. I remember this clearly because I have turned it over in my mind thousands of times since. I did not know. And something about the way she asked, it reached past my pride and my assumptions. And it landed somewhere real. I told her I did not know. She nodded as if it was an acceptable answer, as if she had expected it. And then she left, back down the mountain. And on that same afternoon, I moved away from that spring. Across the centuries, I have thought about that child more times than I could count. Across the rise and fall of kingdoms, through long winters when this cave was silent. I think about what she taught me without meaning to teach me anything. She taught me that the most devastating question you can ask a powerful thing is a simple and honest question. Not "you are wrong," not "you should be ashamed," not even asking to stop. Because pride can defend itself against accusation. Pride is very good at that. It is armored for that exact purpose, but a genuine question slips right through. There is no defense against someone who simply wants to know if you are aware. She gave me a chance to become so, quietly, without making it a war. I have tried to carry that forward with various degrees of success. Old habits of pride do not vanish overnight, over a century for that matter. I tell you this story not because I think you are thoughtless. I have known you long enough to know that thoughtlessness is not your particular struggle. But I think your struggle might be on the other side of the same coin. Where I did not notice, you noticed everything. Where I was unaware of my effect on the world around me, you are perhaps too aware. And that is its own kind of blindness, little one. When you are so focused on what everything costs, on every consequence, every impact, every way you might be taking up too much space, you forget to simply be in the world, to let yourself belong to a place the way that child belonged to the valley, without apology. You are allowed to be here, in this cave, in this world, in your own life. You do not need to earn that. You simply needed to walk through the door. I want you to hold on to that. Whatever you're carrying right now, whatever made your shoulders heavy on the road, I am not saying it isn't real. I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying that even so, even underneath it all, you are allowed to simply be. You are very safe, little one. Sleep when you are ready. There is no schedule here, no dawn bell, no obligation waiting for you in this cave. Just rest. I will be here. I am always here. Rest now. The mountain holds you tonight, and so do I. Sleep well, traveler. We will talk more when you wake.